Hello, this is James. I'm going to share with you today a strategy that will ensure that you make more money, you're more productive, and you're more happy and fulfilled. Guaranteed. Are you interested? Now, before I get into that, let me just tell you, in case you don't know who I am, I'm James Arthur Ray. I'm the author of the New York Times bestseller, Harmonic Wealth, as well as my latest book, Life Unleashed Blueprint, how to live life on your own terms, harness your unique genius, and have maximum impact. Now, if you know anything about my work, you know I have invested over 30 years of my life to studying ultimate performance. I've worked with athletes, I've worked with celebrities, I've worked with top-achieving entrepreneurs, and what I can tell you is that principles are cross-contextual. What does that mean? It means that when you understand life principles, you can apply them in a variety of contexts and you can get the same result. Does that make sense to you? And so, for me and my work, me and my money, what I want to do is invest in my mindset, my psychology, in understanding and embracing and incorporating and integrating principles. Because then it's allowed me as a business consultant to go into a variety of businesses, from manufacturing to entrepreneurial businesses to sales businesses and a whole host of others that I have, in some cases no experience in whatsoever, but to apply the principles you can get high performing, ultimate performing results. And I hope that makes sense to you. Now, let's talk about how you as an individual, as well as your team, if you have one, or your entrepreneurial business, if you have one, can perform at ultimate levels of performance. The first and foremost thing that you must do as an individual is you must understand your unique genius, your God-given gift that you've been literally gifted when you came in. Now, you have to develop that to levels of ultimate performance, but you have an innate ability, some kind of unique gift that you came in with. And the sorry fact is that you have not been encouraged to develop it, much less even find it. What you've been programmed to do is to find a career. In a recent issue of U.S. News and World Report, they talked about the top careers in 2020, and as you might not be surprised, you might imagine, they were math, science, and technology. Now, if math is your unique genius, if science is your unique genius, if you're an Einstein or a budding Einstein, if technology is your unique genius, then knock yourself out. But what most people do is they look at where they can get a career versus following their calling. Now, I've talked about this before, and I'll talk about it time and time and time again because it bears repeating, and you have been conditioned so heavily in the contrary that I'm hoping at some point it will sink in. Are you with me? Now, you might say to me, well, James, I can't make money with my unique genius, my calling. And I get that. We do have to make a living. But here's the fact, and I have, coached many multi-millionaires. In fact, I'm coaching them right now. I have coached and worked with and had dinner with and shared the stage with billionaires. And I can promise you that not one of them made those amounts of money by pursuing money alone. What they did was they found their unique genius, and they developed it to a level of ultimate performance so they could then grow a business and do what they love. And you have a greater probability when you are in your wheelhouse, when you are playing what I call your A game, to reach those levels of ultimate performance. Now, is it guaranteed that you will become a mega millionaire? No. There's very few guarantees like that in life. But what is guaranteed is you will live a meaningful and fulfilled life. And you'll have a greater probability to reach higher levels of making money. Now, these are not just my ideas. A recent Gallup poll was conducted with over 50,000 teams around the world, including over 1.4 million people. And what they found is that when the team was using their A game, their unique genius, when they were coming from their own gifts and developing those and bringing those to the teams across the board were 38% more productive. They had 50% greater retention, and they had 44% greater customer satisfaction. Did you get that? So, if you're an entrepreneur, that's who I work with. My clients are primarily entrepreneurs, or they want to become entrepreneurs, and I think that you should, by the way, because entrepreneurs change the world. But entrepreneurs, first and foremost, know their unique genius, and then they are able to attract onto their team and to select onto their team people who have genius that they don't have. In 2009, my company and I were blessed to hit the Inc. 500, one of the fastest growing, most successful companies in the United States. I and my team built a $10 million business. Pretty successful. And when Inc. magazine interviewed me to say, how did you do this? I said, well, I really didn't. My team did it. Now, did I play a part? Of course I did. Of course I did. I was smart enough and wise enough to understand my unique genius, first and foremost, and develop that to a level of ultimate performance. And then I was able to attract and select and bring onto my team people whose A game, their unique genius, was my B and C game. Does that make sense to you? You see, this is so contrary to what we're doing. Most of us are trying to pump up and improve our B and C game. If we would take the same energy and effort and put it into our A game, we would become masterful. And we'd have a much greater probability to make more money, and we would be guaranteed a happy and fulfilled life. What's your unique gift and genius? Are you going after the meaning or the money? Because life is not about money, it's about meaning. One last example, I was coaching a gentleman just 2 days ago, 49 years old. He makes $500,000 a year. And he said, James, I'm making great money, but I don't know what the purpose of my life is. I'm starting to think, as I'm pushing into my 50s, that I'm going to be checking out at some point. And I'm asking myself, what am I going to leave behind? Now, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, you might be in your 20s, 30s. You don't think about legacy that much consciously, unless you're highly unusual. But as you start to get into your 40s and pushing into 50, you definitely begin to think about that more and more and more. What's the mark I'm going to leave? What's the contribution I'm going to make to the world? He said, I don't know what my purpose is, James, and I'm making lots of money, but I don't have the meaning. Pursue meaning. Find your unique genius. Leverage it. Develop it. Commit to it. Live your purpose to a level of ultimate performance, and from that position, grow a business and do what you love, and attract into your team, and select and train into your team those individuals that can then play their A game, their unique genius, so that you can play yours. I hope I've given you some things to think about. These things are game-changing when you get them. Until we speak again, as always, stay awake, love life, and be epic.